I want to do a movie review, if you will, of Scorsese's Silence, 2016 movie about two Portuguese Jesuit missionaries that go to Japan. And the reason they're going there is their mentor. They've heard a rumor that their mentor has fallen under the terrible sin of apostasy, and that they need to go and find him and save his soul if possible, if it's really true, which they can't believe. And so the movie then deals with the tribulation that they undergo, because Japan has had many believers, and now the government, especially the Inquisitor, and you got to remember this is the 1700s. This is the time of John Wesley. The Inquisitor is going to go after them if they're caught, and they will be facing the real scourge of persecution and martyrdom. And so the movie has a way of gripping you almost immediately. And as you identify with these two very idealistic missionaries, you begin to feel the danger that they're in, and you begin to have a sort of vicarious fear for them and with them as they try to hide from the authorities, while at the same time ministering to the Japanese believers. And when you read this movie with the spectacles of the Bible, there's a lot of things that come to mind. First of all, from the Bible's perspective, our faith is a martyr's religion, from beginning to end. The very mikvah that we undergo is a martyr's ordeal. We are buried with him, literally, in the water, and raised with him. The very martyrdom that he himself willingly underwent for us, for our salvation. That symbol, the tree, he says, unless you pick up your tree of sacrifice, you cannot be my disciple. So, in other words, the very martyr's ordeal that he went through is your ordeal. And then he warns that there will come a time when people will think they are serving God by putting you to death. And then he warns that this terrible time is going to be so horrendous that if God didn't shorten this period, even the elect could be lost. And that's basically what happens in this movie. The elect are brought to the point where they are going to be almost lost. And the character played by Liam Neeson is a picture of a lost quote unquote elect person. Listen, if you gained the whole world and lost your soul, what would it profit you? Whoever tries to keep his life will lose it. You see, the insidious thing that the Inquisitor does, and there's a very interesting dialogue that goes back and forth, where the Inquisitor is saying, your religion, blah, 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 and this one Jesuit is trying to defend it. He says, look, don't say it might go well in Portugal or Spain, but it can't go well in Japan. The truth is the truth, wherever the truth comes. And the Inquisitor then begins his devious thing. Satan is a very subtle snake. He says, we're not going to kill you. What we're going to do is torture these believers in these villages where you've been trying to minister since you've been here. And if you want to spare their lives, if you want to save them from death, all you have to do is succumb to apostasy. That's all you have to do. And so the priest is put in a position where he watches all this. Beheadings, people set on fire, people hung upside down to slowly bleed with an incision that where the blood just trickles out just enough to keep their brain from filling up with blood so that they can remain conscious but slowly die, sometimes 3-4 days, or be drowned, hanging on some kind of scaffold out there. As the tide comes in, they're slowly drowned. Now, the thing is, when you look at Liam Neeson, he has fallen prey to this deceit, and he has left the Lord, he's left the ministry, he's married a Japanese wife, and he's become a student of Buddhism, and he studies in Buddhism, and he helps the Japanese government ferret out any Bibles or anything that's brought into Japan, to show that this is contraband. It has to be destroyed because we as priests know the symbolism, and we can tell you what is a religious object and what isn't, including Bibles. So he's literally working for the devil. And when you look at him and you see his soul is not the same, he's not the same person that he had been back in Portugal. And when you see how he's been contaminated by this, you wonder, was it really worth it? Was it really worth it? Listen, anybody who says they're a believer is a potential martyrdom. A potential martyr. If you don't want the martyr equation, you need to find another religion. This is a martyr's religion. This is very clear. Now, Scorsese, as a lapsed Catholic, is looking at the whole thing from a philosophical point of view. Why isn't God speaking? Of course, God does speak in this movie, audibly. And I'm not going to tell you how it ends. I'm not going to ruin it for you. But I'm going to say that from his lapsed Catholic perspective, the whole question is, why is God silent? But you see, when you study the New Testament, you see God isn't silent at all. Paul is martyred. Peter is martyred. His half-brother Yaakov is martyred, the head of the Jerusalem Kehillah. The brother of Yohanan is martyred. The Bible itself is written in martyr's blood. The people sitting around the Last Supper, almost all of them are going to be martyrs. And with Judas Iscariot, the one who loves his life and loses it, it says he went to his place. It does not say he went to heaven. There's a very scary reference in the first chapter of Acts that seems to indicate that he wanted his life in this world and he lost his life, his soul, forever. And now he's not going where Paul and the others are going. Paul says, there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness. I fought the good fight. I've kept the faith. I've finished the race. He says, I just want in my body to glorify Mashiach, whether by life or by death. That's all I want. And now we know that where he's going, and we know where Kepa is going, and the other martyrs, but we don't get any sense of any assurance that Yehuda or Judas Iscariot is going there. And there's a definite Judas Iscariot theme in this movie. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but there's a definite Judas Iscariot theme that goes through the whole movie. And the audience, in a way, is put on trial. Well, what are you going to do with the Lord? Are you going to try to keep your life? Are you going to be a Judas? Are you going to be a martyr for the Lord? A real martyr who doesn't value his life. Paul says, I consider my life of no value if only I can do what I'm supposed to do. He says that in the book of Acts. And there is a mission that you must accomplish. These two Jesuit missionaries have a mission. And in the process of trying to fulfill this mission, they run into not just the devil, but what every 6 minutes a believer is being killed in the world. And every 6 minutes a believer is confronting what they are confronting, the insidious evil murderer, that lion. He goes around seeing whom he can devour. And the audience is put in a very uncomfortable position where they have to kind of look into their own soul and do some soul searching. So I heartily recommend this movie. I'm not saying I endorse everything that's said or done in the movie. I'm saying you need to see it. And then you need to go back to the New Testament and you need to rediscover a martyr's religion. And if you're one of these health and wealth guys that are out there, one of these gay priests or gay archbishops, and you think you can have this world and you can have the religion, you don't realize what this religion requires. It requires everything, not just a moral requirement or an ethical requirement. It is a martyr's religion. Amen.